Hi, everybody, and thanks for joining us for another episode of the PHNX Suns Podcast. I'm Lindsay Smith, that's Gerald Bourget, and we've got Jock Landale in the house with us as well. Happy Wednesday, guys. How you doing?
I'm
Going
tired,
well.
but
Going
doing
well.
great. Jock, how was the trip back? How's everybody doing?
Yeah, it was okay. I think that we've definitely got some stuff we need to figure out, and there was a disappointment that we didn't hold up our end of the bargain, which was getting at least one win. That's kind of what we went in there planning to do. And anytime you don't get that done, you feel a little bit like you've let yourself down in the first round, in the first 2-game period of the playoffs. But I think we're in good stead to kind of bounce back here and get them the next 2 at home. So that's the plan.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all kind of were anticipating at the very least a split in Denver with the Suns and the Nuggets, but it happens. I don't know that we're all entirely down and out. I don't recommend getting on social media, though, just because it is playoff basketball and the emotions run really high. But, how are you approaching this? Like, how is Monty approaching this and the team? Like, what was practice like behind closed doors in terms of just, like, making sure that the morale stays high?
But I think yesterday he kind of let us be, needed to, given we've got this much time off and we've got some pretty high minute and volume players at the minute. But today we kind of came in and we just, there was a freshness about us, and I think that was good to see. The message really was that you've got to see it. You've got to see us winning this playoff series. You've got to see us walking out of Phoenix to get on a flight back to Denver with the series tied 2-2. You've got to believe that that's where we're headed, and I think everyone in that gym does believe that, and that's most important for us. Look, they gave us one hell of a running out there in Denver. I think that they played bloody well. And we didn't, especially that second game. Social media can be brutal right now. I totally agree with that. But, people seem to have forgotten how well we played defensively against them. We held them to 98, 97 points in that second game, and our shots just weren't dropping. So we certainly are still figuring out offensively how to play with each other, which is crazy given that it's the playoffs, but that's the reality of our situation. And I think once we figure that out, and I think that we're really putting a lot of time into that right now, it'll get pretty scary. So that was kind of the message today was, we're still in good stead. We've just got to figure a couple of things out fast, and there is an urgency about it. We all understand that as well. So, I think that these next 2 games will be really good for us.
I wanted to ask you about game 2 before we get to kind of, because I know Devin Booker addressed the team afterwards, but when you look at a game like that, because like you said, you guys defended so well, your offense was running, at least from my perspective, a lot smoother and with more intention than it looked like in game 1. So when you come up short in a game like that, is it just, do you find encouragement and like, if we just have an average shooting night, we win that game? Or is it kind of in the moment a little demoralizing that like, man, we played a lot better and we didn't get the job done?
I think at the time it's demoralizing because you're like, geez, I felt like we defended really well that entire game, and it was like, damn, how are we down 10 points? How do we only score 85 points as the Phoenix Suns? So that part of it was a little demoralizing for me. I can only speak personally, but then you kind of step back, you run the game back, you look at, we had some wide open shots we did not capitalize on, and that's unlike us. And then we took some tough shots that were the option. There were other options out on the floor that were wide open. So there was a couple of misreads that we made as well. And, that was on all of us. So, we've got to do a better job on the boards. That's plain and simple one of the keys to winning right now. I mean, we've broken down the rebounding numbers in depth, going into every game, and whichever team wins the rebounding wins the game. And, that whole game we were winning the boards until the fourth quarter, and we were pretty much winning that whole game until the fourth quarter. So it's just the correlation there is like pretty eye-opening, and we need to take care of that portion, and it's tough because they've got some elite rebounders and they send a lot of guys to the offensive boards, and then on the defensive boards, like speaking from experience as an offensive rebounder, they got three guys blocking out one or two guys come at a time, so it is tough to kind of snag boards on them. So they're just a really well drilled team that's been doing it together for a long time, and yeah.
I wanted to ask about the Booker thing because I had asked him after the game what the level of confidence was heading back to Phoenix, obviously on your own home turf now. They say a playoff series doesn't start until the road team wins one. And this is what he had to say after the game.
I love it. I just love playoff basketball. It's the first thing I said when I got in the locker room. You just have to love this shit, embrace it. There's not many people that get the chance to do what we're doing, play in the highest level of basketball. So compete at the highest level. Don't forget to have fun with it. Get after it every time we get a chance.
And Monty had said after the game, like, we wouldn't be where we are today if we didn't have Book in those moments, letting everybody know, like, even before I walk in the room, what we're capable of doing. And he was bringing up the bubble, actually. Like, we've been in a situation where we need to win every game before. So that's been here since, my first year here. Just how is a message like that received when you've got your leaders in a tough moment like that? Pulling on these different reference points and saying, like, you have to embrace the difficulty of this situation.
Yeah, it's good. It's big time for us because Book's someone that's underspoken a little bit, and he goes through patches in the regular season where he just handles business and he lets the guys who are a little more vocal in the locker room be vocal. So a lot of the time we hear from Chris throughout the year, and during the game and all of that stuff, and KD and Book are two blokes that speak when they really feel like it's necessary, and when he speaks, like, everyone listens because it's not often that we get those kinds of messages from him, but when he does give them and when he does speak up, he's making extremely valid points, and he you listen to that because he is one of our leaders, and I think that the level of weight that kind of carries in those moments is huge. So when someone like him, who we all know has an extreme level of confidence, starts to kind of push that on the rest of the team, it does get you amped up. It does give you a degree of confidence that maybe you might have let slip a little bit. I mean, I personally hadn't. I still feel like we're in good stead in this series, even though we're down 2-0. But that's Book. Like, he's someone that doesn't speak up all the time, but when he does, like, you certainly pay attention and take what he says in stride.
What's the confidence level for yourself right now? Because in game 2, we saw you come in that fourth quarter and immediately make an impact. You had 3 fouls you drew 3 fouls right away. You got an offensive rebound. People in our chat are talking about how they love the energy that you've been playing with. What's your approach to this second round here, knowing that sometimes your minutes can fluctuate?
Yeah, I mean, minutes can fluctuate through the whole season. I think that
True.
My situation this year has certainly showed that. But the mindset just always stays the same. It's I really try and get up and about and stay involved in in the game, in the chat, in the in the scout conversations, just all of that stuff, because I never know when my number will be called, and that's the reality of the situation with me and Bismack. So yeah, I don't think that anything ever changes for me. Whether I know I'm playing, whether I don't know I'm playing, I'm always kind of ready to roll because things can just change at the drop of the hat. And I think this series I match up really well with Denver, and I think that the coaching staff's realizing that, and so that's handy. And for me, I always play with that degree of intensity and energy and effort, and that's just kind of, I feel like that's just my culture and where I'm from and kind of how I was raised. So I'll never really let off in that regard, no matter what. And I think that plays well for us against Denver. Just throwing three bigs at Yoke, and if I can be the one that kind of comes in and just crashes the glass every time and runs the floor hard every time and just try and wear him down a little bit, I think that helps us in the grand scheme of things. So we'll see what happens going forward. I can't really speak on that too much because it's out of my control, but I think the other night was kind of a good step forward in that direction.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you about that because I feel like last series was a good series for you as well in terms of punishing small ball. Now we see Denver doing that with the bench unit. Just how do you feel that you match up in those scenarios? Monty was saying today he didn't feel like they did a good job of using you to attack those mismatches when you get switched because you are very aggressive on sealing when you get a mismatch put on you. So how do you kind of view this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, there certainly were some times that I was wide open under the basket, or I had a guy pinned in a really favourable position last game, and we didn't capitalize on that. And that was, the guys who didn't get me the rock came up and said something, and so I think that everyone realizes that opportunity's there, and it's going to continue to be there. So then it kind of comes down to, me making sure I get them in the right position and just kind of punish those opportunities. I think I did it a little bit in game one. Game two I was missed, but that's just kind of the flow of basketball. You can't, I'll never hate on someone for making a read that they feel is right in real time, because we all make, incorrect reads. It's a game of, significant variables, and it's a split second decision. But at the same time, this is playoffs. There is the margin for error has to be tiny, and you can't afford to make mistakes like that. Otherwise, you find yourself in the hole that we're in. So it's definitely something that is a focal point, and Mont's right. There was a couple missed opportunities last game, but I don't hold that against anyone, and we kind of hashed it out in the last couple of days. So we'll see what happens going forward. Denver might very well change that that tactic, but yeah, it's something that I feel as though will work when we really put a lot of attention to it. So if it's not getting a deep seal and scoring, it's someone putting up a shot, and then I'm kind of battling on the boards with the small. So it's something that's favourable for me, and I think that I've kind of done a great job and of hitting that all year. And I mean, I've seen some funny comments on social media about it, but there are some fucking idiots out there. But
yes, there are.
I definitely feel good about that. That scenario, and we'll continue to kind of focus on that as a team, and hopefully in this game we can capitalize on it.
Well, I can tell you the comments in our chat are pretty great right now.
Yes.
They're actually not that you need a confidence boost, but if you did, the comments in the chat are pretty great. There's a couple, I'll read them to you, right? Some people have been saying, obviously love the energy you're playing with. You need all the minutes. You came in and made a statement. Our love for you will never waver, never fluctuate. I mean, specifically, we all have faith. Again, Jock should be getting all the minutes. So you're getting a lot of love in the chat. If you did need a confidence boost, there you go, Jock.
Appreciate that, chat. Appreciate that, chat.
All right. So not to take us down a negative path here after all of that love you just got from the chat, but we do have to talk about Chris Paul, because that's the unfortunate thing that came from game two. We got news from the Suns that he does have a groin strain, and he is considered day-to-day by them. Charania, though, shared that he'll be reevaluated in a week, regardless of what that time frame looks like for Chris Paul coming back, whether it's maybe by Friday, maybe by Sunday, or maybe not. How are you approaching having to fill in the gaps as a team if he doesn't play?
Yeah, I mean, losing CP it's a style of play, and it's an individual that you can't really replace. I mean, he is the point guard for a reason, and he's unbelievable when it comes to how he sets the table for us. So he does so much more than what's on the stat sheet and what people see in a game. He talks through every scenario on the bench, and he reads the game 10 steps ahead. So it's somebody that when you lose him, even when people think he's not playing well, it's an individual that just keeps this team ticking along at such a high rate, and he's so much more than just what he does on court. So we're going to need him. We're going to need him every game. So even though he's out, he's still going to be someone who's in our ears, and he's telling us what to do, what reads to make, what he's seeing on the court, and that stuff in real time is a lot better when he's out there. But at the end of the day, we still get him to courtside to kind of talk us through that. So he's someone that's invaluable in the locker room and on the bench as well as on the court. But now we turn the pace up big time. I think that's kind of where our team heads now. We play a high pace of basketball and try and beat them like that, because we're not going to be able to, not to take away from any other players on our team, because I think that the guys that will fill his position are still incredible players and all of that. But I think that the advantage we can take from this is now we get to play at a seriously high pace and just try and run Denver as much as possible. So, we see if we can fill in the gaps, and I don't think we really will be able to fill in those gaps that he leaves us, but we can change our style of play a little bit and see if that's favourable. And I think it might very well be favourable against Denver. So, it's someone that you can't, you can never miss enough. But at the end of the day, we're all NBA players, and we're all highly talented NBA players. There's a reason that we're in the position we're in, and you can't sleep on any of the other guys that will be stepping on the court.
Yeah, and for those who have not seen the updates on Twitter today from practice, Monty was saying, they're grateful that he didn't tear it or it was anything where he's done for the season. So the Suns are still labeling him as day-to-day. Obviously, his 2 prior injuries this season were day-to-day, and they were a little bit longer. But Monty was saying they are optimistic he could return at some point, just because of the way he's fighting to get back. And obviously Chris is frustrated with this type of thing. Monty was saying you train your whole career for these types of moments. But Jock, what was his kind of demeanor as far as, because I have to imagine like this has happened to him so many times. And at this stage of his career, he's running out of those opportunities to get where he wants to go. But at the same time, Monty also said he's very optimistic about where this team is and their ability to compete in this series without him. So what was his kind of demeanor like?
Yeah, it was very much so like, don't put all your attention on me. Let's just worry about the next game. So I think that he's really not trying to take the spotlight and put it on himself. He's don't worry about me. Let's just get the job done, because no one wants this more than Chris Paul. It was just, as like he said before the playoffs started, no one wants it more than him. And he understands that he's aging in his career. So he's really not trying to take away from the progress that, that we need to make in the next couple of days to beat the Denver Nuggets. And I can just say that, like, walking into the facility today, he's not being obnoxious and up and about and all of that stuff, but he's just being Chris Paul. He's getting in there, he's doing his work, he's getting his treatment. He's out on the court talking to guys as we go through, kind of a little bit of scout and film, and he's just being him. So he's really not changing a whole lot. When I walked into the locker room, he was there, shaking everyone's hand, like, let's go, next game, all that kind of jazz. And that's just a sign of being a good leader and who he is. So Chris is going to be Chris, and as I said, that's someone who's not going to sulk about this thing. He's there are bigger things at play than himself, and he's going to make sure that we're already going into the next game without him.
If there was any player who really personified the never too high, never too low ism that always comes out of sports, specifically basketball, yep, I feel like it's Chris Paul.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, right? It's just like, oh, yeah, that's who CP3 is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so
100%.
He's good to have on your squad. In spite of Chris Paul's injury and, being down 2 in this series, not only do the fans feel like this is still a winnable round, but BetMGM has you guys favored for Friday night's game by 4.5 today.
Okay.
Last night after the Chris Paul news, it was 3.5. Today it jumped to 4.5. So that's good news. We are all feeling good, feeling confident. Of course, being back at home in front of the hometown crowd, which I do have a question about that one, Jock, because, and Gerald, you were there too, and you kind of mentioned it, but Jock, from your perspective, there were a lot of reports saying that the fan base in Denver, like the crowd, like it was loud and it was engaged. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to like poo-poo all over them, but it wasn't what I think a lot of people were expecting for a playoff crowd. It was a little bit more relaxed for a playoff crowd. How would you compare what you've seen so far playoff basketball in Phoenix, the crowd, to what you saw in Denver?
Well, it's honestly, it's night and day. I feel as though game one Denver crowd was pretty impressive. Like when we walked out on the court, it was like packed and roaring, and people are yelling at us and all that kind of stuff. So their first game was like pretty decent. But the second game, we went out there with whatever it is, like 16 on the clock, and there might have been like a quarter of the fan base in that arena. Like it really felt like there was like thousands and thousands of empty seats, which eventually, filled up a little bit, but like it was just like a late start. I feel as though when we walk out and start warming up with 20 on the clock in Phoenix, that place is like bumping. So the Phoenix fan base, again, it's got to be top three, if not, top two in the entire NBA. And I've really appreciated the fan base this year, because it makes it so much more enjoyable playing in front of a hostile and upbeat crowd. And you compare them to the Clippers fan base, and it's night and day. Like we take that one by a country mile. You compare it to Denver, it's night and day. We take that one by a country mile as well. So I can only imagine that it gets more and more intense as the rounds go on, and I'm looking forward to Friday night, because they've done a phenomenal job all season long, and especially in that first round against the Clippers, I felt the intensity of it, and the love here in Phoenix definitely runs deep. So this is by far one of the best fan bases I've ever played in front of in the world, and I look forward to seeing him kind of grow rowdier and rowdier as the rounds go on.
Yeah. So 2 things for everyone watching and listening right now to get you ready for Game 3 on Friday. Of course, first and foremost, you got to download that BetMGM app and get in all of your bets right now. Like I said, they have the Suns favored for Friday night's game by 4.5. If you haven't signed up, make sure you download the app and use that bonus code PHNX. There's a few different offers depending on where you live, but for our Arizona audience, you will get up to $100 in bonus bets on your first wager with BetMGM. Again, make sure you use that bonus code PHNX. You can check the show notes for full details. And now you can listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in Washington, D.C., Mississippi, Nevada, New York, and Ontario. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369, New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, Arizona. 1-800-522-4700, Kansas, Nevada. 1-800-327-5050, Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF, Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help, Michigan.
And then, of course, if you want to be a part of that home crowd on Friday for Game 3, check out Game Time. They've got the tickets for you. You can snag tickets without the stress when you use Game Time. All you have to do is download the Game Time app, create an account. Again, use that code PHNX for $20 off your first order. Right now, you can get in the door for $91.
Oh, wow.
And that's upper level. Right now, there's also a special deal, lower level, where I think you can get it, $279 for lower level.
Okay.
So $91 will get you in the door. $279 will get you a little bit closer to the action. But Game Time is where it's at. Again, terms do apply, but make sure you download Game Time, create an account, redeem that code PHNX for $20 off. One more time, download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. I'm really surprised they went down since Monday. I think on Monday it was like, $129 was the lowest ticket, and now it's $91. So y'all really have no excuses to be a part of that hometown crowd. Get out there, cheer on Jock and the rest of his teammates. Jock, one more little nugget of confidence for you from the chat here. Sai sent us a $20 super chat and said, "Don't you ever leave us, Jock." Very matter of factly, don't you dare, Jock.
If I can avoid it, I won't. I love it here.
Good.
All right. So listen, there's been a lot of heavy conversation. And of course, here at PHNX, we like to have a little bit of fun. So Jock, we figured what better to do on a Wednesday afternoon than have a snake draft of the best superpowers. So that's exactly what we're going to do. And I know you seemed really excited about this when we mentioned it before the show started. We're going to let you pick first since you are the guest. Then Gerald and I did rock, paper, scissors. He's going to go second. I'm going to go third. So that is the order. Jock, whenever you are ready, you lead us off with your first pick.
Jock, did you just pull out notes?
Yes. Have we
Love
told them? I don't think we told them what the snake draft is for.
I thought I did, but if not, it's for best superpowers.
Yes.
Okay.
So this will be fun.
I love his graphic.
Okay. Yeah, that's quality. Geez, I'm actually struggling with my first pick here. But
Really? You think that?
I'm gonna go with shape shifting.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep, that's my number one pick.
Okay, so we got shapeshift. Shapeshifting is a great power.
Yeah.
I am very ecstatic that my number one was on the board. I'm going to go with teleportation.
Oh, that's what I would have taken number one too.
I mean,
I was thinking
Nightcrawler
about
is
that.
just like objectively one of the coolest X-Men.
Yeah.
And oh my God, to just eliminate having to travel anywhere, car or plane, God, sign me up for that.
And just like instantly be somewhere else,
Yes.
100%. I would totally do that in a heartbeat. All right. So my first pick here is going to be time travel.
Oh, wow.
I feel like
You're
could
going to destroy the world, aren't
listen.
you?
There is a good possibility if I was a superhero, I would be a bad one. Okay.
Oh,
like we all
man.
know that already. But I'm also very much with the idea of working smarter, not harder. And I feel like time travel can make that, like, it makes your life so easy.
I
If
feel like
it's not teleportation, it's definitely time travel.
I feel like you 1,000% would not respect the flow of time.
No,
and
100%
we would
not.
be living in a dystopian, like, terrible thing just the first time you go back in time.
Maybe not. I guess
All
we'll
right.
have to wait and find out. And then with my second pick here,
Mhm.
I'm going to take, and I don't know, power mimicry? Does that count?
It's to like absorb another.
No,
Yeah.
I'm vetoing that.
But
Absolutely
it
not.
says
That's
right
too
here at the
powerful.
end of the day,
No.
of all the great superpowers, none are as great as power mimicry.
Yeah, that's
Like,
no.
it's on the list,
That's like drafting colors of the rainbow and saying you want the whole damn rainbow. You're
but
not
it's
having
on
That's-
the list.
That's
Yeah,
like when
well
the
said.
genie
Well
offers
said.
you a wish and you
Veto.
ask for 99 more wishes.
Wow, Jock, you're really going to
been
veto
vetoed.
that too?
You've been vetoed.
Veto that. Yep.
That's
Wow.
I'm on board with that.
We've put her whole draft
Wow.
board in shambles.
You have.
I think you lose that pick as well.
You just get punished. The commissioner's coming in hot.
It's like tampering.
Listen, when I Googled it, it popped up as one, so I feel like it should at least be an option, but I'll play along.
Okay.
I'll play along.
Okay.
How you guys are gonna hate me if I throw this one out,
Oh,
but
man.
because there's a power
Okay.
absorption too, so I won't
Okay.
even go that route.
Okay.
How about let's see, where did it go? Immortality? Can I have that?
Yeah, you can.
Damn, that was my next one.
All right,
Okay.
that's what I'm taking. Sorry, Jock. You see, that's what
Okay.
happens when you veto.
So,
That's what happens.
so immortality / invincibility. That's what we're.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. No, that's a good one. I am gonna go with. I mean, telekinesis is
Okay.
pretty, like, just move shit with your mind. I feel like that could come
Yeah,
in
that's
handy
not
a
bad.
lot. I've watched too many Star Wars movies, but yeah, I'm gonna go with telekinesis.
Okay.
I think an obvious one which is being left on the table right now is like ability to fly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
I
definitely
think that's just a no-brainer.
It's a
And
great
because
one.
I get to get the next one and snake it back, I'm
Mhm.
going to pretty much become Superman, and I'm going to go with superhuman strength.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
That's a good one.
All
Yeah.
right. Jock is building quite a superhero here.
Okay.
Yep.
This is also one that you need to be a very responsible person to have, but I feel like
Gerald would
be
make such a good
ethical.
superhero, you guys.
I would. I'm gonna go with telepathy.
Okay. That's
so
a good one.
because like if I can read as a reporter, if I could like read minds and then ask the perfect question, that would be such an advantage to have. Even just not even
You
being
would
a
also have
superhero.
all the scoops.
It would
and
be-
nobody would know who your source was.
I would have to approach it
No
very
question.
ethically. I'd have to approach it very ethically, but I think I could do that. So I'm gonna do telepathy.
Okay. All right. All right. Now I feel like you guys are going to question all of my picks here. But am I
100%.
allowed to pick reality warping?
So like
It says
like
right
astral
here.
projection kind of thing, like
I mean,
what Mysterio does. I'm sorry,
know,
I
I'm
don't know
just-
why I
I'm
even
just-
referenced that. Like
yeah,
you
like-
would know what the
like
fuck.
I
I'm
have no idea.
So like where you
You
like
basically can manipulate reality.
okay.
So like the Suns have 8 championships right now. Snap
But
of the
we're,
fingers.
like-
You got it. There you go.
Oh, so you
That's-
just like Thanos like changing. I thought you meant more like an illusion. Like
I don't
an
know.
illusion.
It
Why do you
literally
always have
says
to make
the
this so
ability
hard,
to
Lindsay?
manipulate reality
Yeah.
itself. It also says it's one of those powers that could corrupt an ordinary person. So.
Oh yeah. No,
I feel like reality warping is kind of on the same time as along the same lines of time travel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is, because you
Okay.
could totally manipulate reality by going back in time.
So are we yes or noing this selection?
I don't want to be a dick because we've already turned down one of yours.
Listen, it's fine.
But,
It's fine. I'm used to it by now.
but yeah, I'm gonna say
no.
one.
Dear God.
I let Jock say it first just so I was covered.
Y'all are terrible. Absolutely terrible. Okay. Does magic count as a superpower? It's on the list. I'm just going off of the list, Gerald. I'm not a superhero person.
I know.
I'm going off of the list
I
and the
know.
definitions it's giving me on the internet.
It just feels like magic is like another word for superpower.
Oh.
Like I need you to be more specific.
Well,
with
the specifics say an ancient practice rooted in ritual, spiritual, and or cultural lineage with the intention
Right.
to invoke, manipulate, or otherwise manifest supernatural forces, beings, or entities.
Right.
Sounds a little far.
But I need you to be like more specific about what type of magic. Is it like summoning?
You guys
Is it
are
like
the
cursing
worst.
people? Is it like
Okay, fine. Whatever. I'm going to go shape-shifting.
we
That
already
was
got
Josh's
Oh,
shape-
that
first
one was,
pick.
dang it. That was right. You did pick that one first. Fine. I'm going to go invisibility.
That's a good one.
There.
That's a good
Invisibility.
There you go.
Keep doing mine.
That was my next pick, so that's a good one.
And shoot. Because all of the ones that I want that are on this list on the internet
Uh-huh.
are going to be vetoed,
Uh-huh.
I will just go with X-ray vision.
Okay.
Because you can't veto that.
You're
Because
gonna-
that's one of the basics.
No, you can't veto that. You're gonna be the most like immoral superhero.
That was the plan all along.
You're gonna be like the boys, like one of those.
I wanted to
superheroes.
be like the team of superheroes, but individually.
Okay. So I'm gonna go with. Ooh, this is tough. I feel like I would pick superhuman speed, but I can already teleport, so I don't really like need superhuman speed.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go with. This is tough. I'm gonna go with the ability to control water.
Okay, that's a good one.
I'll leave the other elements on the board because I could have been a jerk and just said elemental whatever,
Yeah.
but I'll stick with water.
The Avatar.
I would have vetoed that
exactly.
one.
I want to be the Avatar. That's my superpower.
Well, given that I have two picks again, I'm basically going to just become a shape-shifting Superman, and I'm going to run with I'm going to do superhuman speed,
Okay.
Okay.
and then, geez, I don't even know what to call it, but the thing where the laser beams shoot out of my eyes. What is that?
Like heat ray vision.
Heat ray vision.
Okay.
I mean, that's kind of fun.
I'm a shape-shifting Superman, and
That's not bad.
pretty much because both of us are extremely attractive, so I just feel like it's, that correlation's right there.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Oh boy, there's a lot of good ones on the board still. I mean, so if you're invincible, are healing powers, is that too close?
No, I think that's different enough because
think
you
that's
could,
different?
because as an invincible person, I can't heal somebody else, right?
Okay.
So yeah, I think you could take that.
Okay. I'm gonna do healing powers for my
Okay.
last one.
And then for my last one, since you took the water
Uh-huh.
shenanigans, I'm gonna take like whatever Magneto's thing is.
Oh, magnetism.
Magnetism. Okay, I don't know
Okay.
what his superpower is actually called, but I'm gonna take that one because I feel like that worked out pretty well in his favor.
At times, yeah.
And then if you add in some of the other things that I already have on my list, I feel like I'm pretty well rounded here.
Yeah. Okay. So
So-
Jock has shape shifting, flight, super strength.
Can I change one of mine? Is that possible right now?
It depends on which one you want to change.
Yeah. How are you changing it?
I want to change shape-shifting.
Okay. Your number one pick. You're changing your number one pick. Okay.
I know, isn't that crazy?
It is.
Because I'm just trying to think like what would bode well with all of my other four ones.
Uh-huh.
And I've decided that just like the ability to access 100% of my brain, so just being like extremely high
Okay.
levels of intelligence
Okay.
would be my, yeah. So I kind of want to change everything to just extreme intelligence.
Okay, so then can I take shape shifting in place of invisibility?
Oh my God.
I'm going to
No.
say yes.
Shane says yes.
Oh my God. All right.
Shane says yes.
Well, which one are you replacing on yours?
Invisibility
Okay.
with shape-shifting.
Okay. So you are going to be shape-shifting instead of invisible and
Brain.
I'm not just putting brain on a graphic.
That's not a super. What would we call that? Hyper-intelligence?
Sure.
I guess.
I don't know. You guys have to decide what to call that one because I don't know.
Okay. And then
Basically, I just know. I'm just all knowing.
Yeah, all-knowing, I guess, could be a good one.
Oh, omnipotence.
Oh, there we go.
That's a better word. There we
Okay.
go.
All right, chat. Who do you think is going to win this one?
If invisibility is on the board, then I get to put invisibility in, correct?
You get to put invisibility
No, you
in
don't, Gerald.
Yeah, I do.
for 4 or 5.
Okay.
You can only change it out for 4 or 5.
Why can I only change it out for 4 or 5?
Because I took shape-shifting after, it has to go down the order,
Okay.
right? So
Sure.
invisibility has to be either 4 or 5,
Okay.
basically.
I will take invisibility over water bending.
Okay. I love that we have all like collectively like a 3-way handshake here that we can change
That
our
we're just
picks
gonna
and
straight
we're
up
being
change.
nice to each other.
I'm looking at your guys' superheroes, and in real time, I'm probably fucking you guys up.
I don't know, man. You can't find me because like I'm either invisible or I'm teleporting all around you.
Sir, I can time travel
Well,
back and just like
Lindsay
eliminate
can't
you
die.
from birth.
Lindsay can't die.
That's
I can heal
in
myself.
real time. Like if you're going to time travel back and just like do something where you don't allow me to be born or something like that, then of course.
I would do that, Jock. And I'm
Yeah.
immortal. Like I would come back to life if you killed me, and then I would go back in time and make sure you didn't make it to that moment. I am the evilest superhero ever.
Yeah.
No. So, but in real time, like if you sneak up on me, like with your invisibility, I'm too fast. I'll know you're there, and I'll just turn around and whack you with my superhuman.
This would
Like,
be.
I don't know. And then also I'm too smart, so like I'm always going to know that something's going on.
You will, but I can read your mind and I can access your smartness.
Oh. Well, if you guys would have let me take like power absorption, I would have been able to do that too.
Your
But y'all said you
powers were
couldn't.
all like, I want to be all powerful.
Yeah.
My power is all the powers.
Who wouldn't pick that? Tell me one person who was like, you can have whatever you want in this world power-wise. Why would you be like all of
Well,
them?
that's why you would be the best supervillain.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I
100%.
win. To be honest with you, I think I
Well,
win.
we're gonna see. We're gonna have to put the poll out
We're
on Twitter.
100% putting this on Twitter and letting everybody vote. And also, Jock, I do want to ask you, are you back on Twitter? Is that really you?
That's really me. I'm back
Okay.
on Twitter.
So what's the handle again?
Well, somebody took Jock Landale, so it's now Landale Jock.
Landale Jock.
Yes, at
All
Landale
right.
Jock. So follow him. That is the real Jock Landale.
At Landale Jock.
We're building the Twitter back up.
All right, you heard it, people. Go follow Jock. He's back on Twitter. Jock, before we let you go, I do have a couple super chats to read to you from the chat. Where'd the first one go? Let me find it. Pre-Rush said, Jock, you and those offensive rebounds, ! In the fourth quarter start. Money.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Sending you a little love there. And then we have one more from DC. Said it once and I'll say it again. Katie and Jock better than MJ and Pippen.
There we go.
If that doesn't give you a boost of confidence, I don't know what will, Jock.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right.
All right, Jock. Well, thank you so much for stopping by. We appreciate you. Good luck on Friday, and we'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate it. See you. Bye.
All right, guys, we're going to continue the conversation on here, dive a little bit more into maybe some adjustments, things we saw from game 2, and of course, a little bit more on Chris Paul and what that might mean for the Suns. But, seems like a conversation maybe we shouldn't have with Jock or anybody in the,
Sure.
on the Suns team present. But first, I do want to remind you, our friends over at Four Peaks have the best beer that you can get your hands on. And that beer goes hand in hand with Suns basketball. So make sure you are stocked up before Friday's game tips off. Also, there's some really cool things that are going on with Four Peaks right now and the community. So they have Four Peaks 4 seats where they're giving one lucky winner 4 seats to an upcoming D-backs game. You can get more information on that by heading over to their Instagram at Four Peaks Brew. They are also doing Teacher Appreciation Week, which starts on May 8th. And you can nominate a teacher to win grants, Four Peaks swag, and a grand prize of custom makeover of their teacher's lounge by going to 4peaks4teachers.org to nominate a teacher today. Again, make sure you check out at Four Peaks Brew or at Four Peaks Pub to keep up with the latest at Arizona's hometown brewery. And a reminder, you do have to be 21 years or older to drink Four Peaks, and we ask that you drink responsibly. Also, if you are working on putting together your little viewing cave or wherever you want in your house to like spruce it up with some fun sports memorabilia, FOCO has your back. FOCO is a leading manufacturer of sports and entertainment merchandise. They also have apparel, accessories, toys, collectibles, novelty items, so much more. You can see we have a whole bunch of little tchotchkes here at PHNX, and a lot of them came from FOCO, and we absolutely love them. Do you like that word?
Tchotchkes.
That's one of my favorite words.
I was going to say knickknacks, but tchotchke works too.
Tchotchkes are my fave. FOCO has your back for Arizona sports, and they have all the great stuff as well. Get the best gear around by visiting foco.com and, of course, using that promo code PHNX for all non-presale items. Use that promo code PHNX for 10% off. Okay, we do have one more super chat, and then we will dive back into the Suns conversation. This one is from DC. DC said, Lindsay rocking that Mi Vida Loca 90s look. Thank you. I hope you like it. It's very different. I feel weird with my hair up, but I'm trying to lean into it. Thank you for the compliments, you guys.
I just came back from Denver, and you would have fit right in.
Somebody said that in the chat, too.
Yeah.
They're like, Lindsay looks like she just stepped outside of her house in Denver to go for a walk.
It was actually stepping outside to time travel and ruin the universe.
Well, you know, who says I would? I just want to know that I can.
I say that you would.
Here's
I 100% think that.
I just want to know that I can. That's the biggest beef. I wouldn't necessarily tap into it unless it was warranted. Okay? But I want to know that I can.
So you're telling me if you like woke up, stub your toe on the table, you're not going to reverse time to do that?
I wouldn't fix. I would just go. Okay. I would just do the Peter Griffin. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I would move on with my life.
Okay.
So it's just, you know, it's fine.
I don't trust that you would not abuse that power.
There's a good possibility that at some point, it's like a 99.9%. At some point in time, I would.
Right. That's your literal.
But it wouldn't be immediate.
Origin story.
It wouldn't be immediate. And I guarantee you, I would have a good reason.
Okay.
Anyway, back to Suns basketball. Let's talk a little bit more about the Chris Paul injury.
Sure.
So again, the Suns sent out an update. Chris Paul does have a groin strain. They listed him as day-to-day. And they sent out a tweet about that and a press release. But before that came out, we also got a tweet from Charania, and Shams said that Chris Paul will be reevaluated in 1 week after the MRI that they had done. So what do you believe more, a week or day-to-day?
I believe both, honestly, and this is why. The last 2 times that Chris Paul has missed significant times, both of those injuries were labeled as day-to-day. And I feel like, you know, a week you can get away with labeling that as day-to-day.
Yeah.
So it would not surprise me if they have a secret set reevaluation date a week away. But they also like to keep things fluid and not put a time limit or a public time frame on it, because then obviously when that time frame comes, we ask about it, and they don't like dealing with any of that type of stuff. So I'm pretty sure they're preparing for at least game 3 without Chris Paul. You know, Monty talked about having 2 different game plans based on whether he's back or whether he's not. Campaign basically admitted, like, yeah, I'm preparing to start for game 1. So I'm guessing he's out for at least games 3 and 4, probably 5. So I think both can technically be correct, but when they label a Chris Paul injury day to day, it might be closer to week, especially at his age. Groin injuries are difficult to overcome. So we'll see. Hopefully I'm wrong on that, but I would probably lean more Shams in terms of return timeline.
Yeah, I agree. I don't trust the Suns anymore with the injury updates that they give, especially around Chris Paul. I think you have to take that with a grain of salt. in and of itself, but with Chris Paul, you 100% have to.
Yeah.
So I would be surprised if we see Chris Paul definitely for game 3, but I would also still be surprised for game 4.
Yeah.
Now, the campaign thing, that was interesting to me because at practice today, like, I don't know if you got the same vibe because you were in person, I was watching via Zoom, but campaign looked really hyped. Like he was excited, like he had a lot of energy behind his answers. Did you get the same vibes from him?
Yeah, I mean, he literally said, like, I'm geeked out just to be back and playing again.
Yeah.
Because he missed that time with the low back soreness. And then, you know, his first game back, he didn't really play much, if at all. Didn't play in game 1, I don't think. So this is a situation where, for whatever reason, he's had to work his way back into the rotation. Now he's being bumped up into the starting unit. And look, campaign has been up and down this season a little bit, but he does have experience filling in for Chris Paul. You go back to the Western Conference Finals a few years ago against the Clippers. Everybody remembers the value, but a lot of people forget that without campaign's 29 points in that game, like, you're not even positioned to have the value. So I hope that he's able to draw on that type of experience. And he was saying that's a big thing. And the other big thing is pushing the pace. Like we saw in game 2, the Suns play with a lot more intention, with a lot more pace in their offense. And their offense, they couldn't shoot for shit, but they were running a lot more sets. They were getting quality looks, and they were making Denver's defense work a lot more than they did in game 1. So hopefully that's the silver lining of not having Chris Paul, because the offense was humming when Chris Paul got hurt in that third quarter. But you're hoping that now you can play a little bit more with tempo. You can challenge Jokic directly when he comes up to the level on screen and rolls if campaign is careening off of those at full speed. So you're just kind of hoping that having another ball handler who can attack the basket will help open things up from 3 as well.
Yeah, and I think it's also just kind of a different look, right? We talked about, people were asking us after game 1, like, should you double Jamal Murray? What should we do defensively differently? And one of the things Saul had said was just throw different looks at them.
Yeah.
Right? It's something different. Campaign brings something different. Campaign, you want to talk about, because that was another thing Saul was mentioning, like, he was like, we don't have that Dylan Brooks kind of guy on our team, per se, if you get what I'm saying, which I'm kind of glad we don't. But if there was somebody on our team who was close to being that kind of guy, it's Campaign. Campaign is a little bit of a pest, right? But in the best way possible. He also is the energy guy. He's always going to play with energy. He just seems like he wakes up in the morning, he's like a 6-year-old, right? Yeah. All the energy in the world, ready to go, completely balls to the wall. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's Campaign.
Right.
And that could be beneficial. If nothing else, it makes everybody else a little bit more energized and ready to go too.
Yeah, exactly. He's the guy that when his song comes on in the car, he's absolutely vibing, singing at full, like,
top of his lungs.
Top of his lungs.
Yes.
And that's every song that comes on.
Yes.
So, like, Campaign, he's that energy guy. Hopefully we see that in game 3. They need him to play well. He said after game 2, like, the biggest thing for him, just shoot better. Because I think he was 1 for 7. Obviously the bench struggled to score. Yeah. But he's going to be called upon to hit some of those looks that he's getting. And just be himself. Like, that's the biggest thing that they always emphasize to Cam when he has to fill in for Chris Paul is, like, yes, we need you to take care of the ball, to set up the offense, to table set, but also, like, do what you do. Don't try to be Chris, because nobody is Chris. Just be Campaign. And I think Campaign being himself will help in this matchup in terms of just turning up the energy, hopefully putting more points on the board and playing with more pace.
All right. So you mentioned the bench there.
Yes.
We don't know what different rotations are going to look like in game 3. We don't know if Campaign is going to officially start or not. We'll see. But Monty did say something interesting today at practice about our guys TNT.
Yes.
It's a tough one. I can do a better job of putting more scorers on the floor and living with whatever warts may come with that, just to free those guys up so they don't have to do it every single time down the floor. And we'll make those adjustments accordingly. Those are 2 guys that can see significantly more time. You know, those kinds of decisions only hurt you when you have an injury. Then you wish you could have gotten those guys a bit more reps to prepare for that. So we have these days to get ready for that. And the guys who played. You know, we were in a good rhythm right before Chris got hurt, with Cam playing in the second unit and Chris playing. with the starters. Now we just have to adjust.
So, yeah, everybody that's been clamoring for Terrence Ross, TJ Warren minutes, hopefully, if Monty is true to his word here, we will see them in game 3. And I think this is the right approach. You know, a lot of people are making a big deal about the comment about, you know, whatever warts may come with that. I think that's the kindest way to acknowledge that Ross and Warren are defensive liabilities without throwing them under the bus. Monty always kind of talks in those sort of folksisms, so I wouldn't read too much into that personally.
Yeah, that's kind of just who he is and how he speaks.
Right. He's acknowledging the reason why he hasn't been willing to play them and why, you know, there will be drawbacks to having them out there, especially if both of them are out there at the same time.
But let's just go have a shootout.
Yeah, but like
150 points, let's do it.
Yeah, put some points on the board. Like, get some offense out there. Your bench is averaging like -2 points per game right now.
For real,
you need to get some points on the board, and you need to space the floor, because the original question was, how do you ease the load on Devin Booker and Kevin Durant? And he offered, like, we need to put more offense out there. So
yeah,
we're going to see that in game 3, and hopefully it pays off, because Lord knows, especially now with Campaign being bumped into the starting unit, like, the bench scoring is very minimal. They need to attack the mismatches with Jock Landale better. They need to put Terrence Ross and TJ Warren out there and let them get buckets. And they'll probably get some Landry Shamet minutes. And I know that nobody's going to be excited about that, but, you know, unless Damian Lee comes out and proves like that was an aberration in terms of how bad I shot in game 2, we might see it. But yeah.
Well, at least we will all be able to watch it together and then change our opinions if need be together as a group, instead of right now. I think that's the biggest thing, because somebody on Monday night was like, what is the point of putting Terrence Ross and TJ Warren out there? Like, what are we hoping to get from it? You know, what are, like, why is everybody continue clamoring for this? And people in the chat were like, we just want to see if it helps.
Right.
And at this point, at least then we'll see. We'll know for sure. There's no questioning. Then, you know, I don't want to say this out loud, but depending on how the rest of this round goes, at least there won't be as many what ifs.
Yes. Leave no stone unturned. Make adjustments, because clearly the bench is still working through it. I think they found something with Jock Landale in terms of punishing the small ball lineups, because those have been, you can't lose the non-Jokic minutes. Like, that's a killer.
And that's been rough.
It's been rough. So I think they found something with him. I think, obviously, just putting Campaign in the game was the right adjustment. It shouldn't have been an adjustment, but it's the right move, putting him in over Landry Shamet. And then I honestly think if Damian Lee can just knock down some shots, he's played hard defensively. He had a couple of offensive rebounds where he tapped the ball out, and he's used to making shots in playoff moments. So hopefully he can turn that around. If you add a Ross or a Warren in there as well, I think you're in a much better place with the bench rotation. And then now it's just a matter of making shots, which we know those guys can do, turning it into a bit of a track meet a little bit.
Yeah. So speaking of making shots, that was one thing that the Suns struggled with in game 2.
A little bit.
And Gerald, you kind of looked at the shooting numbers between game 1 and game 2. So why don't you kind of break this down for us?
Yeah, so NBA.com divides up a team's shots into 4 categories. It's tight, where there's 0 to 2 feet of space between the defender and the shooter. Very tight, 0 to 2 feet, tight, 2 to 4 feet, open, 4 to 6 feet, and wide open, which is 6 feet plus to the nearest defender. So in game 1, the Suns shot 6 for 18 on open or wide open threes. So that's 33%. That's already not very good on relatively makeable shots. But in game 2, they were 3 for 20 on those same looks, which is 15%. That's horrible. And a lot of people were countering with like, yeah, the Suns don't shoot a lot of threes though. Fair, but they shot the 17th most threes in the regular season. So they were subpar, but they were not dead last like they are right now. They took about 33 threes per game in the regular season. In the playoffs, it's been closer to like 23, 24. They've got to get that number up, obviously, and they've got to let their bench players shoot and build that rhythm. But these are open or wide open shots. These are professionals. Like, even if you come in, you check in the game and you get one shot, these are shots you're expected to make. 3 for 20 is terrible. If you even just have an average shooting night from 3, especially on looks that typically you make around 40+% of, you win game 2 easily. Like, and I think that's the source of frustration after that game, like Jock alluded to. We defended really well.
Yeah.
We held one of the highest scoring offenses in the NBA to 97 points, but we could only manage 87 ourselves. Like, that's a killer. And it was a horrible time for one of their worst shooting nights of the season. I think there's a Twitter account called Shot Quality, and they take a look at, based on what your expected percentages are on every shot, who should win each game. The Suns should have won game 2 by like 14 points or something if they just made the normal percentage of shots that they make on those shots. So hopefully we see them bounce back in game 3. We know role players play better at home. So hopefully that home crowd's able to give them that confidence boost and they can bust the offense open a little bit.
Yes, hopefully. As Vaughn put it in the chat, we're effing due a game.
We are.
We are.
They are.
100%, Vaughn. Like, we really are. And why not game 3?
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not?
You know how much fun it would be on a Friday night to celebrate a Suns win?
It would be nice.
Especially with how we've had to talk about these games, game 1 and game 2. I would love to have a Suns win, and I would love for it to be a complete blowout.
Right.
Just a nightmare of the game for the Nuggets.
We are only 2 games into the series, and we are already talking about firing Monty, trading for Kyrie, trading DA.
In the chat right now, listen, I'm not trying to throw shade, but you are getting way too far ahead of yourself on this one. Somebody said that we should trade KD back to the Warriors for some of their role players.
What?
For like depth and stuff.
No.
Let me see if I can find this comment.
What?
And I was like, we can't be there already, you guys.
Don't talk about the offseason.
Right.
We're not there yet.
We will get to the offseason when we get to the offseason.
And I also know that like things look a little
bleak.
Yeah. But like, we're not there yet. You have to, I get it. We're Suns fans. We've been through this many times.
Yes.
I cannot stress that enough.
Yes.
But you have to have faith, as Jock said.
Stop crying.
And as Jock said about Monty at practice today, if you don't believe you're going to win this game, you're not going to win this game.
Right.
And we have to be a part of that belief system.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah. I mean, like, fans are going to fan. I get it. We're going to be irrational at times when things don't go our way.
Yes, 100%. That's okay.
And that's been something that's been happening all season. It's not like it's just a now that we're down 2-0 thing. Like, people have been talking about trading DA or banishing Chris Paul to Siberia or whatever, like, all season long. But, like, we need to realize that, like, a playoff series doesn't start until the road team wins on the road. And if they win these 2 games, if they take care of business at home, suddenly they have all the momentum going back to game 5 against a team that they should have beat in game 2.
Yes.
And with a chance to win that game and then try and close out at home. Like, we've seen this happen to the Suns multiple times. Like, they went up 2-0 against the Bucks, lost 4 straight. Went up 2-0 against the Mavericks, lost 4 of the next 5. Like, it's not out of the question if you take care of business at home that you build momentum and suddenly you turn a series. Like,
Libertarian Sasquatch said, y'all down way too bad.
Way too bad.
Way too bad, you guys. If we lose, do you think, okay, this is another question. And maybe this is a bigger conversation for tomorrow.
Sure.
So you can kind of keep it vague or brief. Are game 3 and 4 must wins?
Yes. You cannot, if you lose game 3, it's over because no NBA team has ever come back from down 3-0. And if you lose game 4, I think Nuggets probably close it out in 5. I'd be shocked. Like, coming back from a 3-1 deficit is possible, especially if you have Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. But against this Nuggets team, that building will be rocking, and I don't think you're going to win a game 5. I think at that point you're demoralized by the fact that you lost a game 2. You should have won. You lost 1 game at home that you needed to win. That's really hard to come back from mentally.
Okay. Well, until that happens.
Yeah.
Let's stay
1 game at a time.
Even kill, right? Never too high, never too low.
Right.
And if you feel like you're just getting a little bit of extra upset because you're hungry, might I recommend our friends over at Circle K for some snacks.
If you're angry about the Suns.
I mean, listen, we all know that if you get hungry, you get angry. There's a reason why there's a literal word for it.
We're
okay?
turning Suns fandom into a Snickers commercial. You when you're hungry.
You can get a Snickers at Circle K. You can also get an iced coffee at Circle K. So if you haven't eaten and you just want to add more coffee and make you even more jittery, you can do that at Circle K. You can also get a Polar Pop. You can get some beer. You can get Red Bulls and Monsters. All the things that you can need to cure your hunger or your thirst. You can find at Circle K. You can also get great gas. And right now we've got a little promo for you. So make sure you're not missing out on all the great stuff Circle K has to offer, and text PHNX to 31310 to join their tech subscriber club and get a buy one, get one free offer on 32-ounce Polar Pops. Polar Pops are the best. It's also a really good, like, treat. If you have kids after school, you take them to Circle K, they get either a slushy Polar Pop or whatever treat they want to get from the fountain drinks. And then you can buy one, get one free, and it's even better because it's an inexpensive treat. Right? Because sometimes you roll through other places and you're like, damn, I'm out $12 now for this kid.
Right.
Like, I love you, but I can't do this every day. But you could go to Circle K more often, especially if you have a BOGO deal. So head to circlek.com/store-locator to find Circle K's near you. And also, if the hanger is not the issue and you just need a good night's sleep or some chill time, OG's Brands has you covered. They are dedicated to creating innovative and memorable cannabis-infused products that flavor life's journey. Sometimes you just need a good night's rest. And their Aquaberry flavored Sleep Edition gummy is great for that. It is a CBN THC 2-to-1 ratio that helps you with rest, relaxation, falling, and staying asleep. And it tastes really good too. So that's the icing on the cake. You can find them at your local dispensary or by checking out ogsbrands.com. You do have to be 21 years or older, and we ask that you enjoy responsibly. All right, Gerald, to round out today's show, like, I know you're going to be mad about this already because of the things that are happening on social media around it. But Kevin Durant's going to be in Call of Duty, and that's pretty cool.
Yes.
Regardless of what anybody on the internet thinks, it's pretty cool.
Yes, it is. And we got our first images of the mock-up of like his skin of him going to be in the game. I think it launches May 10th. If we have those images, yeah. So it looks pretty lifelike, honestly. It's kind of scary.
I mean, they did a pretty good job. This is almost better than like 2K's renditions of players.
It's very impressive. And that's pretty exciting for him to be in the game. I'm not a bit. Are you a big Call of Duty person? I don't.
I'm not. I maybe one day I wouldn't mind playing it. I love shooter games in general, so I'm not anti Call of Duty.
Yeah. So I mean, if you are a gamer, so he's going to be joining Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 Season 3 Reloaded as an official operator on May 10th. So definitely be on the lookout for that. But it was kind of funny because I had been dying to ask this question at practice today as soon as I saw these images, because we all know Devin Booker is a huge Call of Duty fan.
Yes, that's his game.
So now his new teammate is in the game. So I asked him, are you going to talk to Kevin about getting yourself in the game? And this is what he had to say.
Oh, yeah, man. I talk about it every day. He'd even bring it up to me. I hit him this morning like, come on, bro, you weren't even going to let me know. Need a code or something. That's exciting, man. I'm excited for May 10th.
You had the tag in the gulag, and you thought you had
certified
yourself a bit.
Once they did the Messi and Pogba, like I knew they could do it, and it's a dream of mine.
Maybe you're next. Maybe you put in
Yeah,
a word.
I'm jealous. I'm jealous right now.
So Book's got to get in there at some point in the near future, right?
Yeah, he was laughing after he walked out of the scrum. He was like, I logged more hours than anybody on this game.
Well,
NBA,
okay. Can I just
yeah.
This is no shade to Kevin Durant. This is super cool for KD, and obviously KD is Kevin Durant. Like, we get it.
Right.
But if there is one player in this league who stands for Call of Duty, it is Devin Booker. Yeah. Like, the amount of free publicity that game has gotten from Devin Booker over the years, like, put that man in your game.
Yeah, I'm just kind of laughing that KD didn't say anything to him. Probably just woke up to a text from Book like, yo, man, what the hell?
Right? Like, you're not even going to tell me?
Yep.
And Katie's probably like, well, I don't want to have to make the connection for you.
Yep.
I'm just kidding.
Book's going to force that issue, I guarantee it. We're going to see Devin Booker on that game in the near future. I'm sure of it.
Also, Priscilla in the chat said, LOL, I just saw Twitter raging on Gerald's tweet about this.
Yeah.
If you are one of those people who is kind of upset by players having an outside life, as Gerald put it on Twitter, maybe just touch grass for a minute.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, didn't Book say it after game 1 too? Or was it in the Clippers series? He talked about just getting on, logging some minutes on Call of Duty just to kind of get a break mentally from all the things.
And then he balled the fuck out after doing that.
Yeah.
Look, I get it.
So, like, Devin, you can play video games.
Right. And I want to clarify this too, because this was the first video of Book that I posted from practice today, but it was the very last question that I asked after 4 or 5 minutes of all playoff questions. I wanted to ask it because A, I was curious, and B, like, some levity around this time is necessary. Like, if these guys just dwelled on the pressure of the playoffs, of being down 2-0, of Chris Paul being out now, of all these questions that are being asked about the series itself, like you'd snap from that. You need some outlets during this time of year to relax. Not everyone has to be focused on their job all the time, even if your job is getting paid millions of dollars to play basketball. Like these guys are very aware that they're blessed to do what they do, but at the same time, it is stressful. It can be stressful. You need an outlet, and it was just fun, light content that we all could use right now. So
Yeah.
if you have a problem like this is what he's focused on down 2-0, like again, please go outside, feel the sun on your face, and touch grass.
Maybe try playing a video game.
Yeah,
They're
they're fun.
pretty fun. I mean, I enjoy them.
Mhm.
I think it was maybe Kellen who made this comment on Twitter. If it wasn't Kellen, somebody did, and I laughed out loud at it. Somebody was like, so Katie's head going to be up over all the walls? Is he going to be able to actually crouch down?
Yeah, look, we gotta.
Is he going to be that tall in the game too?
I don't know
need
how
to
a,
know.
I don't know how a 7-foot sniper is gonna fare in the game, but
Right?
Yeah.
Like, this seems like a pretty large target to put on his back, literally,
Right.
figuratively, whatever it is. But
Yep.
I thought that made me laugh. That
Yeah.
was hilarious. All right, Gerald, any final thoughts before we say goodbye?
no, everyone just relax. We'll get to what happens in the offseason when the offseason is here, but this team still has a very good chance to make this a competitive series at home,
Yes.
even without Chris Paul. So hopefully they're able to make the necessary adjustments and move forward, and keep an eye out for adjustments heading into game 3. I'll be writing something up on that either for tomorrow or for Friday.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you all for joining us today. We had a great time hanging out with you. We'll be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. with another show for you. Saul should be back for that one. Espo will be back next week, just so everyone who's been asking. That's kind of where we're at right now. Saul will be back tomorrow. Espo will be back next week. And then we'll let you know how things go from there. But until we see you tomorrow, you can follow the show on Twitter at PHNX_Suns. You can follow me at Lindsay Smith AZ. And you can follow Gerald at Gerald Bourget. Gerald, you get to take us home today.
Go outside and touch grass. I said it, I'll say it again. Ahoy, hoy.
Hey yo, my lifestyle is retro. Tell the Phoenix Metro. Megas in control and he ain't never gonna let go. PHNX though, Lindsay, Gerald, Espo. Saw past the ball, we here to turn up the tempo. Got to understand me, I'll always rep the family. Rally in the valley like Dan G, no plan B. Always on the job, my team.